Okay, now we're going to blend into an organic shape as a study. Whoops. So if I want to make a cylinder that's actually more organic looking, what I'm going to do is make a cylinder by using a box. That way I can multi-res it. So tab, I'm going to take both ends and hit Control E in component mode. Right click, tab, and then I will multi-res this. Good. So essentially I have this rounded thing. Now don't add anything to it just yet, you know, like as far as don't make it look like a finger just yet, because really we're not there yet. So object, transform, origin to geometry, object, snap, cursor to selected. So we need to make some cutters. Okay, that's the key. So first cutter is going to be a cylinder. Again, I'm going to kind of fall within that same sturdiness thing. So I'll take and look at it in the top view. Nothing's changing in my mind. I'm barely even looking at this thing. In my mind, I'm just thinking hinge. So in this case, I need one here, leaving me with that one in the center. And you can judge the space however you want to judge the space. Cool. So now what happens is I need to establish which one of these rotate. So in this case, this one would probably be the rotation. I also want to think about limit too. So what I'll do is probably take these forms and move them down a little bit. Just like that. So that's going to be my pivot right there. So the first thing I need to do after that is take this one and make a cutter for it. Shift D, and I make it just a little bit bigger and wider. Again, kind of focusing on the gap thereof. You can measure out those gaps, or you can eyeball it. Alright, sweet, I got this form. This is going to be my cutter. Now I'm going to start naming things. So this is cutter. And what I want to do is take this object and apply the modifier, and then add a new modifier that says difference for the cutter, and apply it. So cutter we can get rid of now. Now why I name this stuff is because now you can go in here and look for it. Cutter. I can now get rid of it, or maybe I'll just keep it around just in case I'm going to use it here in a sec. Maybe. Do I really need these objects? No, they were just a way to train your brain, so delete those out. What I really needed was a hole in here. Okay, now I need to establish a way to cut this. Well, here's how I think about that. This is already bigger than that. So if I was to take, let's say, the vertices and go up, and then the vertices and go back, and I'll use vertices here, this would make a great cutter for this piece right here. And if I needed the opposite of this, well, could I reverse it? Unfortunately, no, but you could take the other end and closely match it. Okay, now this entails you moving some vertices around to match it. Just has to fall outside that form, doesn't? This I'm going to make a little bit this way. There we go. So now we have our cutters. We need to make our cutters as wide as the geometry is. There. There. And just like how we separated an object before to split it up, we do the same here. So Shift D and Shift D. I always keep an original and I make 2 copies. So delete this and delete this. This one we're going to cut with this one. So cutter 4, Boolean difference, cutter 4, and apply it. And this one is called cutter 2. So we're going to Boolean difference cutter 2. Alright. Now we can delete this one or keep it around. I think I'll keep it around. Cutters. So we have a good start. What's missing? Well, we need to cut this little area out right here. Luckily I saved that. Something closely resembling it. So once you start hitting the organic level of like action figure design, as far as the joints are concerned, you're at a that's a really long road to go down, but I'm just trying to provide you with a shortcut here through studies. So now I'm just going to take this and move it over here. So this is my another cutter. Cylinder, Boolean, difference, cutter. Cylinder. Alright, see that? Not too bad, right? So I got my forms. I got my groove. Now if I was to bend this, if I rotated it around, it would rub right in this area. Okay, so Now if you use a program called ZBrush, you know, that's not a freeware application though, so I'm not going to cover it. I do have videos about ZBrush and how to use it, but I would say ZBrush makes this even flow better sometimes. Because when you cut something, you can cut it at a very high res. There we go. We got a hot dog, and it has this groove in it. So now what we need to do is make a key piece that goes inside, and I'll start that in the next video. But for right now, let's go on to that video.